Call this regularly scheduled meeting to order. Call roll.
Mayor Querom.
Here.
Commissioner Warren.
Here.
Commissioner Mabry.
Here.
Commissioner Fabia.
Here.
Commissioner Newman.
Here. Please stand and join us in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business tonight, we'll go to Commissioner Page for swearing in.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to call Officer Ryan Jennings up. Chief Root. PT, want to read it? And Mr. Nelson.
Okay, this evening I'd like to introduce our newest officer for the Princeton Police Department, Ryan Allen Jennings. Ryan was born and raised in Princeton. He graduated from Princeton High School in 2002. He attended the Illinois Valley Community College and Ashford University, obtaining his Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice in 2013. Ryan is certified already as a part-time law enforcement officer in the state of Illinois, graduated in 2014. He will be attending the 80-hour transition course in February for his full-time certification. After an extensive hiring process for Ryan to include a full medical exam, drug screen, polygraph, psychological, background check, and credit history, Ryan was selected from our current eligibility list. Ryan will begin his field training program starting today for up to 14 weeks to be ready for solo patrol. He will work through all 3 shifts with the assigned field training officers and also learn the various assignments within the police department and how they function. After completion of the FTO program, he will then be assigned to a permanent shift, which will probably be midnights. I'm always excited about that. Ryan was previously employed by the Bureau County Sheriff's Office as a corrections officer and also as a part-time police officer for the city of Granville. Ryan currently resides in the city of Princeton with his wife Brittany and their 2-year-old daughter Emmy Lynn, and I believe they are in Wisconsin on vacation at this time. Ryan's lifelong dream was to be a police officer, even as a little boy. He comes highly recommended by his friends and those who have known him growing up in the community. I am proud to have Officer Jennings as our newest officer and know that he will be an asset to the department and to our community. Now, I will tell you this. Everything that we did, there was only one issue that came up, and that is that Ryan is a diehard Packers fan. We'll try to work through all that, and eventually Ryan will probably be cheering for the Bears. Now, off duty, you'll see Ryan driving around in the city of Princeton in his yellow pickup truck, go figure. But anyway, we are excited about having Ryan on board with us. And now if we would turn this over to Pete Nelson, the city clerk, so Ryan can take the oath of office.
I, Ryan Jennings. Having been appointed to the office of police officer in the city of Princeton.
Having been appointed to the position of police officer in the city of Princeton.
In the county of Bureau. And the state of Illinois. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States of America.
I will support the Constitution of the United States of America.
And the Constitution of the state of Illinois.
And the Constitution of the state of Illinois.
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties. Of the office of police officer. To the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
That's the pinning of the badge, and that'll be done by his mother, Mary Ann.
You should have taken it. I was really glad it was on.
Were you really?
Yeah, just
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, okay. Go down and call it a day.
Yeah.
I think so. I think that's better.
Awesome. Badge number 433. So, City Council, Ryan Jennings.
Congratulations,
Welcome aboard.
Okay, now I'll release everybody or anyone who wants to leave. Want to stick around for the rest of the meeting. Thank you for coming. Okay, now we'll go to public comment. Any public comments? Just need your name, and we'll give you 5 minutes.
Okay, very good. My name is Bob Rupsich, R-U-P-C-I-C-H. I'm a resident of 213 Bailey Court, and I stand here today again, as I did last Thursday at the special meeting of the board in opposition of the special use permit being contemplated for the old Walmart building. I believe all of the commissioners have gotten a copy of my detail, so I'm not going to go through all of that again. We continue to strongly object, even though it did pass the commission. I'll just briefly list the major complaints or major concerns of this, and then make myself available when you get to that point on the agenda if you have any questions. I do believe I've demonstrated that I represent the residents of Bailey Court through their signature pages on the document that I previously submitted. Anyhow, major concerns, property values. We believe a warehouse operation in our backyards, literally next to our backyards, would diminish our property values. I know we're not certified appraisers, but we are educated people, and we believe that our property values will decrease and will limit the audience of people even coming to our houses to look at them when we attempt to resell those houses. Alteration of the central character of the neighborhood. In the planning document, there's a number of paragraphs that talk about altering the neighborhood, especially when a B2 abuts in our residential area. There's special provisions in there to protect property homeowners and their values in the neighborhood, and we believe this is disruptive to that. Adverse noise. We're talking about a diesel truck operation. I see it has now grown to 4-door dock. It was a 3-door dock when it started. I see in the latest picture there's 4 doors on that dock. Adverse noise, diesel trucks. If you ever sat with a diesel truck running next to your home, the vibration, the noise, the odor is adverse, and we believe that will continue to be adverse and even get worse. Vehicle vibration, forklift noise. Man plans to operate a forklift out in that open area. OSHA mandates that a forklift have a backup alarm of sufficient decibels to warn an area. That beeping in my backyard or anybody's backyard is really considered adverse, and I don't think anybody else would like that in their area. Hours of operation has not been explained to us, so simply going forward, this man could operate 24 hours a day. There's no restrictions. Inadequate screening, I think we did address that in the Planning Commission with a 14-foot permanent barrier being erected, as they do in the Chicago area or anywhere in the state when new residents abut a superhighway. Intrusive lighting. The existing lighting on the Walmart building does not fit the code. It is 18-foot high. 18-foot high lighting requires down shields to protect residents from glare. It simply doesn't do that now, and if this goes forward, I would demand that that be adhered to. Intrusive security surveillance. The man said he's going to put up security cameras. If your security camera is going to be erected, I believe that we should be protecting our privacy, and the cameras should be of a fixed position that does not surveil my yard or any of my neighbor's yards. That's our property, not to be surveilled by others. West side of the building use, I see that was eliminated in his last proposal. I would expect that all setbacks be adhered to. A 30-foot setback on the rear side of the property and a 27-foot setback on the side of the property. And quite frankly, with those setbacks in place, we don't believe, and we believe we demonstrated at the previous hearing, that a 53-foot semi-trailer cannot safely access that area. But you'll have to wait for an engineer to tell you. Outside storage, there's nothing prohibits outside storage, although there is language in the code that says outside storage is supposed to have an opaque type screening around it. If you go to the TSC right now, they have outside storage without that opaque screening. So we simply don't enforce our own rules. Refuge containers and odors, again, another example. Refuge containers, currently at the closet, is not enclosed as it should be on all 4 points. And we'll be adding additional refuge containers and the odors associated with that. Proposed outside compactor, again, more noise, more equipment, more intrusion into the residential nature of the neighborhood. Stormwater drainage, if I'm coming up on my 5-minute speech, just let me know.
You got about 30 seconds.
Okay. Stormwater drainage, not 35 left?
Talk fast.
Okay. Stormwater drainage currently drains into a creek behind some of the residents' homes. That outfall 001, it's called, they have a NEPD stormwater only permit. That outfall back there is collapsed as it is, and probably should be tested for any hazardous contamination. Additional litter and safety, and we believe safety probably should have been talked about first. We do not believe that you can operate semi-truck trailers in an area where donations are being made to a charitable organization without creating a safety hazard. So that's our complaints, or that's our issues. We still stand by them, even though the planning commission went forward. Again, I'll make myself available for questions, if there are any, during that portion of the agenda. If anybody else needs a copy.
You put it on the table there if you want.
Okay.
Think about any other public comment. Okay, we'll go to Commissioner Newman for approval minutes.
Mayor, I move that we accept the regular council meeting minutes from Monday, October 17th, and prove that they've been approved as written.
Second.
Motion's been second. Any corrections? Call roll.
Commissioner Warren.
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry.
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia.
Aye.
Commissioner Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye. Now we'll go to approval of invoices, and we'll start with Commissioner Newman.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight I have invoices for the Department of Public Affairs and Accounts and Finances. Planning Department, $9,957.47. Administration, $26,897.41. Self-insurance, $150,281.92. Tourism, $8,677.50. Property Department, $3,262.51. No expenses in community development. Lovejoy Homestead, $802.50. Homestead, $1,122.50. Incremental tax incremental of $27,818.05. Total invoices for the Departments of Public Affairs and Accounts and Finances, $228,819.86. Mayor, I've reviewed these bills. I find them to be true and accurate, and move that they be paid.
Second.
Motion's been second. Any comments or corrections? Call roll.
Commissioner Warren.
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry.
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia.
Aye.
Commissioner Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye. We'll go to Commissioner Mabry.
Thank you, Mayor Querem. This evening I have the bills and payrolls for the Department of Streets and Public Improvements as follows. In the Street Department, a total of $32,262.87. Wastewater Collection Department, $27,415.41. Wastewater Administration, $14.31. The Cemetery Department, $7,715.07. And garbage expenditures of $37,079.85. For a grand total of $104,487.51. Mayor Querem, I've examined the bills and payroll, find them to be true and correct, and request payment be made.
Second. Motion's been second. Any comments or corrections? Call roll.
Commissioner Warren.
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry.
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia.
Aye.
Commissioner Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye. Commissioner Fabia.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the bills of public health, safety, and civil defense. For the police department, I have $54,629.53. For fire ambulance, I have $48,983.16. For total invoices of $103,612.69. I've reviewed these bills. I believe them to be true and accurate, and I move they be paid.
Second. Motion's been second. Any comments or corrections? Call roll.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia?
Aye.
Commissioner Newman?
Aye.
Mayor Querem?
Aye. I'll go to Commissioner Warren.
Thank you. Tonight I've got the bills and payroll for public property and utilities. Electric generation of $38,300.89. Electric distribution of $35,575.99. Electric administration of $423,175.86. There's no telecommunication expenses. Water treatment of $35,294.03. Water distribution of $4,984.89. And water administration of $2,261.65. For a grand total of $539,593.31. We examine these bills and believe that they be true and accurate and move that they be paid.
I'll second that.
Motion's been seconded. Any comments or corrections? Call roll.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia?
Aye.
Commissioner Newman?
Aye.
Mayor Querem?
Aye. Thank you, Commissioners. Now we'll go to regular business, and we'll start with Commissioner Lee.
We have some members here from the ITDC, so if you guys want to come on up and just give a brief overview, and then if you have any questions, we can engage.
And this pertains to the city's health insurance.
Good evening, and thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Dave Cook. I am the Executive Director of the IPBC. With me, I have Greg Allen and John Hamilton from our administrative brokers, Gallagher Bassett. Gallagher Benefit Services. I'm going to give a brief overview and turn it over to Greg and Sean to talk about the insurance program. Just to tell you a little bit about IPBC and where we have been. IPBC has been around since 1979. We are an intergovernmental agency that provides health, life, and dental insurance to local units of local government. I am privileged to be the first executive director of the organization. Started 3.5 years ago after 31 years of municipal service. My last 23 at the village of Hinsdale, serving as manager for the last 8 there. Hinsdale had been a member of IPBC for many years, so I had a lot of practical experience before coming to IPBC about the plan. When I came on in 3.5 years ago, we had 69 members. As of January 1, we now have 113 units of local government. We are a statewide organization. We have, I think it's very key to understand what we're about. We are not a typical insurance broker. We are a funding mechanism for local governments. We provide a long-term solution for governments to get them out of the situations of, I know I just talked with Rachel, and she said their quote came back at 25% this year. We have seen that across the state. We've seen high as 84% in some communities, and it's able to provide them an alternative to the commercial networks or self-funded. And as Greg and Sean will talk about, it is a proven long-term investment. We have a track record that I think that talks for itself. I started as an accountant many years ago and still have that bean counter mentality, and the numbers will speak for themselves. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Greg to talk about the program.
I'm Greg Allen from Gallagher, but the first thing I'm going to say is I've been to town twice now and had 2 great meals at Spoon. And the other thing I'm going to do, because I recognize good golf attire, I'm going to walk over to your Mr. Rupsich here and shake his hand. Because he hangs out at Pinehurst, and I'm looking at his shirt. That's where I'm going to retire, sir. Oh, it's gorgeous down there. I can't wait. I'm counting 7 years to go. I'll count the number of days soon. I'm just going to give you a brief overview. When you look at what we gave you, IPBC 101, what we are is an aggregator. This is just an intergovernmental agreement, like any other governmental agreement you have, shared services. If you look at the number of communities on pages 2 and 3 that have joined up in the last few years, if you look at the numbers of groups that have joined in 2016-17, as Mr. Cook said, or that are coming in on 17, we've added 29 municipalities because you have to do more with less. Every community has to do more with less. We are an aggregator. You will not have to worry about negotiating for 87 employees anymore. the pool of 15,000 employees and 42,000 cupboards will let you have better purchasing power than you ever had before. We're aggregating the state into subpools right now. That's why when you look on page 3, we're going to place you in the newly created subpool called Q-Chip. Yeah, it's my name. I like all the cutesy names. I'm the guy who coined knee-high, which is in the middle column, because who didn't like grape or orange knee-high when they were a kid? So I'm calling this pool the Quad Cities Health Insurance Pool, and it's going to grow. It's starting with East Moline. Kelowna is in there. You'll be the third entity to join there. And it's not where you're joining, it's what you're joining. So if you look on page 4, what are we? We're an intergovernmental agency. All we do is change the fundamental nature of your relationship to an insurance company. Instead of being a customer, you're an owner-partner. And for those of you who are businessmen, you know being an owner-partner, hey, you're your own boss. You're going to be your own boss here. You will control your plan design. We're giving you and your employees direct apples to apples. We're not changing anything. We're just changing the network. We use United Healthcare, and we use Express Scripts for the RX card. Your employees are not going to see a change in your benefits because you own your plan now. Their deductibles, their out-of-pockets, their co-pays, they don't change. You have the same rights that all 113 other members have to control your plan. That's what being an owner-partner means. Obviously, we're allowed by the state, regulated by DOI and DOL. We have an executive director who herds all the cats, so to speak, and we're member-driven. I think I'd be a benevolent dictator, but I don't get to make any decisions for anyone. It's my job to look at what's out there in the marketplace, present it to the communities, and the communities get finance directors, managers, HR people get to decide how this thing is run. And they all have the best interest of the taxpayer at heart because they're working for a municipality. We're a financial vehicle. We're not a benefit plan. That's why everyone has their own plan design. We preserve your right on page 4, like I said, preserve your right for plan design freedom, vendor selection freedom between Blue Cross and UHC. Those are the two most deeply discounted, accessible networks for employees in the state of Illinois. We're managed by the state's preeminent public sector vendors. Mr. Cook here has been in public entity business for 31 years prior to being the executive director. As you mentioned, we use Ansel Glink, who wrote the Illinois Intergovernmental Act back in 1979, as our lead counsel. We use Miller Cooper as our accountants. We use Sikich as our auditor, and we have record keeping done by Mr. Cook, and we have our own website, ipbchealth.org. We're probably the least of the vendors, but Gallagher has been the consultant since 1979 when the pool started. We're fully transparent. You will now see, like you see now, dollars in, dollars out, but the way we do things, you'll be entirely transparent, you'll still be self-funded, but we take you out of the risk business. That's what we bring to the table that you don't have now. And we're budgetable, stable, and predictable. If you look on page 6, what you're buying is our rate history. The middle column is the IPDC approved adjustment. That average is 2.34% a year. If Princeton stays where they're at, and averages 10% a year, and I know you had 25, just say you do 10. You know by rule of 72 how money doubles. You're going to double in 7.2 years. So at 10% right now with what you spend, which is about $2 million, you're going to spend $12.5 million if you stay doing what you're doing at a 10% average. Over the next 5. We average 2.34. If you turn on page 7, you'll see our 2.34 in the bottom right corner. Our 2.34%, you would spend over the next 5 years $9.7 million. You're going to save $2.8 million and not making any changes to your plan. It's just the power of numbers and what we can deliver year after year. The most important part of this page, though, is take a look at everyone with the yellow arrow. you're gonna perform to 2.34% because everyone with the yellow arrow performs within 3 points of the pool average. Everyone with the green outperforms. You are going to perform to the average. The other beautiful thing about this page, it tells you where you're going. Instead of having to put 10s, 15s, 20s into your planning budgets, guess what Rachel gets to put into her planning budgets going forward. So you free up more money for capital improvements, for payroll. You get out of this thing of not being able to plan insurance. You know right now, looking at this page, you're going to average 2.34% for the next 5 years because that's what we do. And the reason we do it is on page 9. Here's why our mechanisms are different. The pool has decided that everyone is responsible, or a sub-pool is responsible for a claim under $35,000. That's column C. When a claim gets above $35,000, that is going to be a catastrophic emerging event. Preemie babies, car accidents, cancers. You can see in column G, we take those numbers above $35,000, and they're all over the board on a per employee per month basis. We've decided as a pool, we did not want any catastrophic claim to have a disproportionate effect to anybody. Everyone gets the pool average, whether they're Evanston at 900 lives, or Homer Glen at 10 lives, or Princeton at 87. You will never be judged on the fact that you had a preemie baby or a cancer. We're all in it together. Everyone is going to share that catastrophic claim in the pool. There's nowhere else in the state of Illinois that that happens. Sean Hamilton is also an ex-city manager. He came on to Gallagher 4 months ago, and he can tell you about his experience onboarding into IPVC at the city of Park Ridge, which is about 3 times the size of Princeton.
Yeah, so real quick, prior in Park Ridge, I was a client, as they say, and now I'm obviously an employee. But just a little bit as a backstory, I live out in Grundy County. I know you guys do some business out there. I'm also an elected official in Grundy County, so I've sat on your side of the table. So I weighed those options and seen the information that's in front. And from the perspective and the judgment that I had when I was in Park Ridge and some other places as an elected official, that long-term financial stability of what you're going to see when looking at this at the IVPC versus staying on your own. I can't imagine being in your shoes as an elected official or being in Rachel's shoes and having the broker call you and say, well, we got a 25% because you had 1 or 2 bad claims, which is some of the dynamics that I think you all are seeing and analyzing the data that we've seen. So it made the decision for us, where I was at in Park Ridge, we had 150, so we were about double the size of Princeton. It made that decision very easy. And then what I will say, and I know that we expressed this with Rachel and Pete, we had a meeting at one point with some of the employees here, and I let them know from my perspective that transition from this was seamless. Because again, the plan design change, nothing's going to change. But from an employee perspective, the only difference they're going to see is a different plan number from one date to the next. So the transition was outstanding. The service that the Gallagher team comes in after the point of decision to get everybody transitioned over was outstanding. And I said that as a customer, and now I come to this side of the table to be able to share my story because the numbers speak for themselves. The long-term financial stability of this option, especially for a community your size, and the savings you would see, that nearly $3 million over a 5-year period, it speaks for itself, and what you can then look to reinvest that into your community, whether it be, again, employees, benefits, et cetera. So, again, I know I shared that with Rachel and Pete and some others, but it made the decision very easy.
So on the last page where we talked about differentiators, we're extremely proactive. We bring new ideas to the pool almost every meeting, let the members look at them, decide what they want to do. We're consistently looking, both short-term and long-term, about what's out there in the marketplace. We can port and retain your plan design. If you go out to bid, probably no one else is going to be able to retain your plan design. They'll give you all kinds of different options and tell you they can save you money and upset all the employees. We have access to information and data on 114 communities. Rachel will be able to access comparables at her fingertips.
She actually gave it to her already.
Yeah.
We gave it to her already.
You have the purchasing power of 15,000 employees, 42,000 total coverage. We are a dedicated municipal service team. This is all I do. I've got 9 folks working for me on a service standpoint, but we're the only broker that's probably looked at your CAPR, knows what PSEBA is, and we know PSEBA is the Public Safety Employee Benefits Act. It's not a sponge on the bottom of the ocean floor. I think I've shown we're budgetable, predictable, stable, and flexible. You will see full disclosure all the way down to what Gallagher makes. That is totally disclosed to the pool. And you get the intangibles of working with 114, and probably soon, I think by 2020, to be 160 communities, 170 communities that are going to be in this, because this is the best long-term solution for them to hold on to their cash.
Yeah, just one other quick point is because I know we've already been there, in case some of you have heard that. We did present about a month or 6 weeks ago with the county here as well. So they are also in the investigation phase, if you will. We spoke at an insurance committee meeting and one of their full county board meetings. It wasn't the most recent one, but the month before. So sharing the new administrator, of course, they're on a different election cycle, different committee structure, but we are talking to the county here as well, just so everybody's aware, because that's been reported already.
So in the quote we provided you, everything in the IPVC has to be a win for the existing membership and for you. And we feel, looking at where you're at right now with the network you're at, moving you to United Healthcare, starting on March 1, taking you all the way to June 30th of 18, is worth a minus 9.6% to Princeton. It's just a much stronger network, much more deeply discounted, keeping all the other attributes that the employees will see the same. The deductibles are out of pocket, their co-pays and such. Willing to take any questions?
Why don't we go to Commissioner Newman and let him read the resolution, and then we can go through the resolution and then open it up for questions.
This is Resolution R-16-031. It's a resolution of a governmental body accepting membership as a member of the Quad Cities Health Insurance Pool, CCHIP, subpool, which is a member of the Intergovernmental Personal Benefit Cooperative. I move that we accept this resolution.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been seconded, and we can open it up for questions, comments.
I'm curious about, our plan. From what I have seen, I've been on the board for almost 2 years, and from what I've read and what I've learned and talking to people, we have an extraordinary plan that we offer for active and retired employees. And I don't know how much you can share in terms of how we stack up against others, but is it unusual for a community our size to spend this kind of money on health insurance?
Yes.
Yes.
How unusual?
How unusual? You're already at $22,000 an employee. The average inside of the IPDC is about 15,000 employee. We're going to help slow your rate of change down a lot.
I'm also curious about active versus retired employees. Are retired employees receiving an extraordinary benefit from the city right now?
Yes.
And we supply Rachel some information on co-pays and premiums there. But of our 113 members, top of my head, maybe there's 3 or 4 that might provide the benefits you're providing to your retirees. Most of them, at Hinsdale, I can't talk to Park Ridge, but at Hinsdale, my retirees paid 100% of their premium.
Park
There
Ridge,
wasn't a
same thing. Sorry. Where we were at, again, at Park Ridge, same thing. Retirees paid 100% of the premium.
I've watched these numbers, and Rachel and I have talked about this, we just approved $150,000 tonight for self-insurance, and I think we all agree that it's off the charts, and we need to get our arms around it and manage. And those are the kinds of things that I would like to see us really take a hard look at, is not only overall saving money based on what we're spending today, but to maybe reevaluate active and retired employees' plans to see if maybe they could step up and maybe participate a little bit more than they are now.
And those are things we do all the time, about modeling those kind of structures for you. And it doesn't matter a community your size. City of Bloomington, we're modeling stuff for them to change the way they're doing business. And same with City of Evanston, City of Schaumburg, Kane County.
Everybody.
if we move forward, then those kinds of meetings with Rachel and others on our own committee, our insurance committee, would be hammering out some of the new details of the new plans.
Yes, and from a financial standpoint, we're the three people you'd be working with.
Okay, excellent.
I've been working with the IPVC for 24 years, so this is all I do. It's going to be on my gravestone.
I have no doubt you guys are skilled and ready to go to work.
So the benefit that you're speaking about towards retirees is that the city pays a portion of their deductibles.
Yes. Right.
We pay a
Well,
portion.
I'm sorry, premium.
I think-
Substantial.
Exactly.
85%, I think you pick up, is that right? 85%, I think, again, we've looked at the numbers, so you pick up 85% of the premium for retirees.
And we've been doing that for
A long time.
Since we were down to 85%.
Yeah,
I would say that would be one area that we definitely want to look at.
yeah, yeah.
In the page 2 and 3, who's in the house, what differentiates between these benefit pools?
Home rule, tax cap.
Location.
And the other thing to point out is in column 3, in the middle column, you have the last group to the left. In 2011, the village of Cary left. They came back in 2015. No one's left since 2011.
Well, if your figures hold up, the $2.8 million savings over 5 years is incredibly enticing. We could do a lot with our infrastructure with that kind of thing.
And if you want to look at the daily pantograph, if you want to research the pantograph under Google, look up City of Bloomington, IPVC, you'll see they got presented with a savings of approximately $9 million over 5 years. So what we're doing for you is it's simple math. If you look at the quote we gave you and the backup to the quote we gave you, the quote is all math. Everything we do is math. The 2.34 is math against 10%. Bloomington was averaging 7%. And the difference between 7% on an $8 million budget and 2.34, it was going to be $9 million to them over 5 years.
First thing I mentioned, IPVC is a long-term investment. It was devised by a finance director in the state of Illinois for the long haul. And like I said, Hinsdale was a member for many years, and I know what we did at Hinsdale, how much it saved us. We were able to put 3s and 4s in our planning budgets. When I can tell you, on a group your size, you're probably looking 10 to 12 moving forward. That's the norm on a fully insured market of 80 lives.
Well, when you can pool resources and we're dealing with municipalities across the board, I think it's a very positive thing.
I just like the idea that you can talk Rachel's language and you understand all that. She's shaking her head.
Again, that's what these guys, that's what Dave did, that's what I did up to 4 months ago, so that's the thing, so, yep.
And the one sheet that says March 2017, this is where we are looking to start.
We need a good 105 days to implement everything and do it right, get the open enrollment right, get the communications right to your employees, get the ID cards on time, all of that.
And it's a 16-month rate lock.
Yep.
And then is it another 16-month rate lock, another?
No, it'll be annual. The IPVC's plan year is July 1 to June 30.
Okay, thank you.
The administration fees, how are those calculated?
The administration fees that we get from the insurance companies, from United Healthcare and Blue Cross, we get their administration fees in bulk based on how many lives we have and access to their network. That's all we receive. Gallagher does all the underwriting. Our communities, because we're conservative underwriters, and I've yet to meet a finance director in the IPVC who says they're liberal and we spend every dime, we have $105 million in reserve funds. We spend $250 million a year in this pool, and there's $105 million in reserve funds because the members have done well, and they can use that money for anything they want. So Princeton will see dividends also coming back, and it'll be up to you what you want to do with them. I would suggest you probably build a reserve policy and then decide to use them as you see fit. Thank you.
Just to follow up, you talk about admin fees. In terms of the fees between Gallagher and the fees of IPVC, we are less than 1.5% across the board. And I don't think you'll find that kind of low fee anywhere.
just want to make a quick comment. Rachel, I appreciate what you've been doing for us as a city manager. I mean that in all sincerity. You've really dug through a lot of things, and I think your head is finally out of the manure pit for a while. I just want to say, I think it's a no-brainer. I think that this just seems like the right course of action. We've been talking about the health insurance. I've been on the council for about 3.5 years, and it just seems self-insured is not the way to go. And I appreciate the fact that the community that Rachel came from, Schaumburg, is on here, and I'm sure you can resource a lot of these communities to talk to them. So I'm fully in support of what you put together. So I appreciate your efforts on this, Rachel.
Yeah, I'm just going to concur. Rachel's been great. I'm not saying this because she's sitting here, but she's fielded a lot of questions from employees, and she's fielded those to us, and we've answered them all. We came out here one day, had a meeting with an employee subgroup that was here as well. So, and we've let her know. She sent, I think one time we were emailing back and forth on a Saturday night or something like that. I know. So when she gets a question, she sends it our way, and we ask it and or we answer it. And then I know that won't stop, but that's good. That's what we're here for. But so she's been outstanding as well. So I appreciate your recognizing that. She's doing a great job, and this will be a good win for the city.
I agree. Any other comments, questions? Thank you, gentlemen. And we've got the motions for second, so call roll.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia?
Aye.
Commissioner Newman?
Aye.
Mayor Cameron?
Aye. Again, thank you.
Thank you.
We can,
Going back down to 3 months.
yes, you're still on board.
I have a recommendation for a special use permit for Breck Loose at 2106 North Main Street. Let me read a portion of this front page document. On Thursday, November 3rd, the Princeton Plan Commission Board of Zoning Appeals held a special meeting, public hearing to review the petition for Breck Loose for property located at approximately 2106 North Main. The petitioner requests approval to permit warehousing in the B2 district. Several homeowners adjacent to the site in the Bailey subdivision opposed the proposed special use due to concerns about noise. Additional concerns including the truck traffic flow to the loading dock area. The Plan Commission discussed the proposed project and discussed ways to alleviate the adjacent property owners' concerns. Having reviewed the elements of the petition, the Plan Commission Board of Zoning Appeals, with 1 member absent, with 1 member dissenting, and 4 members affirming, recommend the following. The Princeton City Council should approve the petition for warehousing in the B2 district at the above referenced property with the following condition. A berm or fence vegetative screening with a total height of 14 foot be installed on the west and south sides of the proposed loading dock area. I move that we approve this petition.
Second.
Motion's been second. Comments?
I just have one comment, because this is a special use permit, and it goes with the petitioner. If the petitioner decides that he's not going to go forward with his plan, the special use permit becomes invalid. And the petitioner will also have to still comply with all the zoning regulations that we have in place out there. This is just the first step in this process.
You know, all this does tonight is just, it tells Mr. Luz that we will allow warehousing there. Now, it's up to him going from that point forward, how this project works out, and as Commissioner Warren pointed out, he still has to abide by all the planning and zoning regulations that we have that goes with this type of business in that area. So his engineering studies and so forth need to prove in the fact that trucks can get in, get out, and all those things associated with this project. And if something doesn't look like it's going to work, then this whole thing is moved. Exactly, and he's not going to spend any money of any import until he knows that we'll allow warehousing. Yeah. So he's got a lot on his plate going forward, whether or not this will work. Yeah. I would like to point out, we did speak with him today. Just curious. First of all, this project also includes him, as he's provided us, redoing the entire facade of that old Walmart building, including the PSC front. So that whole front is going to be renovated. He's also working with another retail establishment that appears to be interested in taking up the south portion of the old Walmart building. So you would have actually three frontage, you'd have three buildings, three businesses, TSC, Napa would be in the center, and then this unknown building on the end. As far as the Napa operation, the warehousing would provide 10 to 12 full-time warehousing jobs. The store would provide 10 to 12 part-time jobs. And the realtor that he's working with to go in the south end, if that comes to, if that works out, will provide 3 to 4 full-time jobs and 3 to 4 part-time jobs. So again, this only, all this is here tonight is, whether we agree or not, going forward, is just allowing warehousing in that spot. Any other comments? Motion has been seconded. Call roll.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia?
Aye.
Commissioner Newman?
Aye.
Mayor Querem?
Aye.
Next, I have the monthly building permit report for October. In residential, we have a single-family piece of property for $190,000 with some remodeling at $19,700 for $209,000. Under commercial, a new structure for $1 million, which is a Gardner Denver warehouse, as well as some additional alterations for $171,000. So total permits through October are 81. Value is just under $4,600,000. Compared to a year ago where it was over $12 million, and compared to $4 million back in 2014. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Newman. I'll go to Commissioner Warren.
Thank you. Tonight we have Resolution R-16-032. It's a resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Princeton, Illinois, to enter into a lease agreement with American Tower, doing business as Verizon Wireless. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the tower that's out by the wastewater plant that we leased the land for them. I move that we pass this resolution.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any comments?
I have a question, Rachel. So when I look through this, and there's a lot of wording here, but it says a one-time payment of $15,000, and this goes through 2063. So that's exactly what it says. We get go
This
ahead.
is an amendment to the original lease, so we still get the monthly payments for that, but we're signing this agreement, so there's a $15,000
Signing bonus.
signing
Little
bonus.
kicker.
Yeah, but we're still getting the normal rent that we've been getting from that.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Anything additional? Motion is second. Call roll.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia?
Aye.
Commissioner Newman?
Aye.
Mayor Querem?
Aye.
I also have the bid results for the water treatment chemicals for hydrating the line. The low bidder was Brentag at $197.95 a ton, or 36 cents a pound. Liquid calcium hydroxide was $336.75 a ton. I move we accept these bids.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any comments? Call roll.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Mabry?
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia?
Aye.
Commissioner Newman?
Aye.
Mayor Querem?
Aye. Thank you, Commissioner Warren. Now we'll go to city manager report.
All right, I have a few things tonight to talk about. So the first thing is the hotel tax report. This is for May through September of 2016. Hotel motel tax is total $64,408 for that period, and this is a decrease of around $8,000 compared to the same period in the prior year. The next report I have is the sales tax report. This is the same, this is actually from May through October 2016. The total is about $1.2 million, and this is an increase of $32,000 over the same period as the prior year. The next update I have is on the Euclid Avenue road project that has been ongoing for some time. I attached a memorandum in the packet from the Illinois Department of Transportation, which basically is requiring, or the Illinois State Historic Preservation Officer is requiring some additional reports and documentation in order, before they'll approve phase one of that project and approve the engineering. They want us to look into some historic aspects of it. Farnsworth has been an engineer on this process. To complete this report is obviously going to be an additional expense as well as some additional engineering. However, the Federal Highway Administration wants us to hold off on doing the report. They're trying to talk to the State Historic Preservation Officer and see if he can get by without doing it. Obviously, I think that's what most of the residents over there are hopeful for, so we can move forward with the project and not delay it any longer. But that's the holdup right now. We're still waiting for that.
So they're asking for a report. We're going to try and see if someone can talk them out of us having to create the report.
Right.
But the issue really revolves around the cobblestone street, isn't it?
It all revolves around Brick Street. So in the memo, it talks about how they find specific homes that could be historic places for on the National Register, and that the Brick Streets will take away from their historic value. So even though obviously some portions of that street are
disaster.
Yes. So, like I said, the Federal Highway Administration is hopefully going to talk to them, and we're going to work through this. I just wanted to give an update. But obviously, if we decide, if they require this report, I've talked to Farnsworth, it's going to be quite a bit of additional expense, $20,000 or more in doing that, plus all the additional engineering. So we'll have to make some decisions if it gets to that. But right now, we're waiting.
And does that guarantee that we're going to be able to proceed if we did the report?
No, I mean, they might.
It's not like there's even a guarantee that
Right.
we can go forward.
They might require some, additional alternatives, which would require more engineering work. So, hopefully, phase one is complete except for this, so that's where we are.
Well, I just find it incredibly astounding that the 4 homes that they identified are on Elm Place, which has not a single brick street, to my knowledge, anywhere unless it's buried under about 6 inches of asphalt. So to me, I mean, I don't know where these people are coming from.
Well, and we offered a meeting on site here, and they didn't take us up on that, and so.
I wonder why.
Yeah, so, but, like I said, hopefully the Federal Highway Administration can talk to them.
And do we know, do these 4 homes, do these homeowners have any say in this at all? Whether or not they want their home in a historic district?
Previously, I think, and Brian, maybe you can correct me, we talked to some of them, and, I mean, everyone has basically said they would prefer to have the street fixed, and they don't really care about the historic significance of that, but the State Historic Preservation Officer doesn't care.
Of course, the state knows best.
Now, what if we approached it from the EPA that we're using a pump on that street, and every time we use that pump, we have to get to the sewers beneath the street?
Yeah, I think that, at this point, we'll see what the Federal Highway Administration can do, but then maybe that's another route that we can take. But, the farther that this gets pushed off and phase one isn't complete, the farther the project gets pushed back and the wedding date gets pushed back.
And the more we're spending, and we're getting nothing in return.
We've been on this project since, when did it begin, like 2010? Maybe, I don't remember, even before that, I mean, a long, long time.
Rachel, the letter from the Illinois Department of Transportation that was dated July 29th of 2016, it talks about that, it says that they were resourcing, it says, because the city of Princeton proposed to replace the brick streets with hot mix asphalt, IDOT has requested comments from various groups about the proposed project. Comments were sought from the local Historic Preservation Commission that was established in 1998, but the commission is no longer operating, according to information provided by the city's consultant. However, comments were received from the Bureau County Historical Society, who opposed the project. And I'd like to see those letters. I'd like to know who from the Bureau County Historical Society opposed the project, because obviously that didn't help us out.
So they did not oppose it, they just did not want to comment on it. I did talk to the Bureau County Historical Society about that. However, the commission that they're talking about, we have an ordinance that has a commission, but it's not an active commission. So that's what that previous part was about.
So that statement says, however, comments were received from the Bureau County Historical Society, comma, who opposed the project. That's not a correct statement then from
No,
your
that's
standpoint.
not correct.
And you've corrected them on that.
Yes.
Thank you for doing that.
Okay, so the next thing I have, it's just a brief update on the work that Cameron has been doing on the long-term control plan for the sewer system. So we've done a lot of work, gathered a lot of data on that, and then we're going to put together one, like a 10-year plan for that as well as funding and other options to correct some of those problems. They've also been working on the phosphorus study that is required through an NPDES permit, and that has to be submitted by the end of the month, so that will likely be on next month's agenda, next meeting's agenda. So that's just kind of an update on the work that they've been doing. They'll probably come after the new year when, after January, and present at the city council meeting. And then the last, not the last item, almost the last item, we recently had our lead and copper sampling completed, and this is a letter from John Akers in our water department. And I just wanted to put this in here because we were happy to announce that the samples met all the compliance standards set forth by the IEPA, so we were happy to report on that. And the last item I have is our year-to-date budget report. This is from May through October. It goes through each account and each fund and the percent. So we're 6 months in, halfway through the fiscal year, and you can see based on the percentages, they're right around 45 to 50% in most cases. So if you have any questions on that, please let me know.
Rachel, I'd like to get back to the Chamlin.
Sure.
It says as a result, we are ready to install flow meters in the sewers. Are we waiting till this 10-year plan, or does that mean we are
No, they're part
ready?
of the data. Yes, we're going to be installing those. Obviously, you want to wait for wetter periods, so those will be there in the spring so we can collect that data.
Okay.
Just another point about Euclid Street. I would venture a guess, and I know my home was one of them, that has a lead service coming into the home. And we all know what happened in Flint with the lead. Maybe this might be another bargaining chip that we can use, that when the streets tore up, now's the time for homeowners to replace those services.
Good point. What's too historic?
It's historical,
Any other comments?
That's all I have.
Thank you. I got a couple things. The trees on South Main have been installed. That project was completed last week. All the trees were donated, and we had 20 trees go in, and we received 20 donations of $350 per tree. The installation was $150 per tree, so that obviously covered that cost. The balance goes into a perpetual fund, because we want to maintain these trees and ensure that they are pruned and maintained every year, and so they live for as long as possible. And when it comes time that they have lived their life, that they would be replaced. Up at the north end of the parking lot of Elm, Maine, that project started today. They've got the west side, I think, done, dug out, trenched, dirt has been brought in. They'll do the north side tomorrow. Those trees at the north end, there's going to be 12 of them. They have been donated by Hornbakers and Twin Oaks Landscaping. And they will be installing those trees. Any additional work, grasses or whatever that would go up there, that will be looked at in the spring. Community vision workshops are complete. We had 3 of them. The last one was a week ago Thursday. We had 81 people show up for the first one. We had 75 at the second, and we had 63 show up at the third. And this was during a Cubs playoff game, and when the Bears were playing the Packers. So I was very impressed with the turnout at these community vision workshops. They were the enthusiasm and the forward thinking that occurred, and the engagement of these community vision workshops were great. And we will be having a community meeting December 1st. We do not know yet the location, but that will be announced at a later date. And one final thing, wanted to pass along condolences to the family of Roger Gustafson. Roger was part owner of Gustafson's Hardware for many, many years. He was incredibly active in the community. He served currently on our library board. He was the president of the Historical Society, Bureau County Historical Society. He was also a community vision workshop attendee and offered much insight. Roger will be very sorely missed in this community, and condolences to his wife, Linda, and family. I don't have anything else. Old business? No old business? New business. City Hall will be closed on Friday, November 11th, in observance of Veterans Day. Public comment.
I just have one comment. Tomorrow is Election Day. please get out and exercise your right to vote or not to vote, party of your choice, whatever. There's a lot of local, county, state, federal. Be there.
Okay, I will, no further comment, I will entertain the motion to adjourn.
Okay, I can do that for you, Mayor. I move that we adjourn to the next regular meeting on Monday, November 21st, 2016, 7 o'clock here at City Hall.
Second.
Motion to second, call roll.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Mapes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fabia?
Aye.
Commissioner Newman?
Aye.
Mayor Querem?
Aye, this meeting is adjourned.